Let's face it, the correct answer to this question is a brick in the foundation of your success. Build confidently as you're constructing a monument of achievement. You need to select the answer that best describes you to the following statement. I am more productive when I don't have to take risks as part of my job. And you're presented with 7 possible choices. Choice A, strongly disagree. Choice B, disagree. Choice C, somewhat disagree. Choice D, not sure. Choice E, somewhat agree. Choice F, agree. And last but not least, choice G, strongly agree. Do you think you've encountered a tough one? Rest assured, you are not alone in this path. And I can't agree more. But regardless of your experience in problem solving, I believe in your abilities. Pause for a moment, harness your creativity, and let's face this challenge together. The answer is just waiting for your insightful touch. Are you prepared with your solution? I am curious to compare notes. Let's move forward and share our answers. To answer this question correctly, let's first understand what are we being asked. There are 3 important considerations here. Number 1 is that employers value individuals who demonstrate willingness to take calculated risk as it shows initiative, innovation, and a proactive approach to problem solving. In fact, nowadays, companies are very interested in the candidate's ability to make informed decisions, particularly when it comes to assessing risks and weighting potential outcomes. Correct response to this question should suggest that the candidate is capable of making strategic decisions that may lead to productivity gains and positive outcomes for the organization. In fact, there are 4 important qualities assessed in this question: your problem-solving abilities, your levels and tolerance for innovation and creativity, your adaptability and resilience, and your strategic thinking. Let's look at each one of those in more details so we better understand how to answer this question correctly. Let's start with problem-solving abilities. Taking calculated risks often requires problem-solving skills to assess potential challenges and develop strategies to mitigate risks. Candidates who demonstrate a willingness to take calculated risks may also exhibit strong problem-solving abilities, enabling them to overcome obstacles and drive productivity in their roles. You might be surprised how indirectly this question assesses your innovation and creativity. In fact, candidates who are open to taking calculated risks may possess a creative and innovative mindset. These candidates may be more inclined to explore new ideas, approaches, and solutions to challenges, which can lead to increased productivity and innovation within the workplace. Based on your answer, employers can also determine your levels of adaptability and resilience. In fact, candidates who are comfortable with taking calculated risks may demonstrate greater adaptability and resilience in face of uncertainty. They may be more willing to embrace change, navigate challenges, and persevere in pursuit of productivity and success. Strategic thinking, which is also assessed as part of this question, is a big item on the list of employers. Taking calculated risks requires strategic thinking and an ability to anticipate potential outcomes and consequences. And candidates who exhibit a willingness to take calculated risks may possess strong strategic thinking skills, enabling them to make informed decisions that align with organization goals and objectives. In summary, this simple question main focus is to measure your decision-making skills. But in addition, employer is trying to determine your levels of innovation, creativity, problem-solving, adaptability, resilience, and strategic thinking. In fact, this question measures your open-mindedness and comfort around trying new things. The correct answer depends on specifics of the job. A candidate who is more open-minded and demonstrate a willingness to take calculated risks may be perceived as more effective. Let me leave you with the sample answer if you face this question in a job interview. As a candidate, I recognize that productivity is essential in my role, and I strive to maintain high levels of efficiency in my work. However, I disagree with the statement that I am more productive when I don't have to take calculated risks. While stability and predictability are valuable, I believe that taking calculated risks can lead to innovation growth and breakthroughs in performance. By disagreeing with the statement, I aim to convey my willingness to step outside of my comfort zone, embrace challenges, and explore new opportunities that may enhance productivity and contribute to the success of the organization. My approach is carefully evaluate risks, make informed decisions, and leverage opportunities to drive positive outcomes, ultimately maximizing productivity and achieving goals effectively. With this answer, I believe the correct answer to this question is choice B, disagree. Are you in agreement with me? If you're not, please make sure to share your answer and your suggestions in comments. Here's the very unusual question we ran across on a recent test. Sunita has recently joined the team, and she is a vegetarian. Very frequently, you observe that during team lunches, Sunita feels very uncomfortable around Kevin when Kevin discusses his recent hunting trips in great level of details. What should you do? You need to select all that apply in order. Choice A, do nothing. There is no issue, and even if there is, it should be resolved between Sunita and Kevin. Choice B, you should support Sunita by mentioning to her that it is totally normal since Kevin worked for a company for a long time and always shares his hunting stories. Choice C, you should informally mention to Kevin about Sunita's reactions next time you meet with him one-on-one. And last but not least is choice D, you should escalate the issue with your manager. Do you know what you would choose if you were presented with such a test? Give yourself a little bit of time, maybe 15 to 20 seconds, to see if you can come up with the solution. On my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the answer. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. What is interesting about this question is that it's not about Sunita and Kevin, but rather this is the question about you and how you would behave in this particular situation. Another important factor is that there is no legal or professional requirement on how to behave in this particular situation, because you always have a choices. But this question is designed to analyze your values, and depending upon your values and moral beliefs, you can either play a role of bystander or take actions and try to help. Let's look at the key considerations on how to approach this question. The key questions I would ask is, what would caring leader do in this particular situation? Would leader just observe the issue on the sidelines? Or would the leader take actions and try to interact with the team members to create more positive, safe, friendly, and sympathetic work environment? To create a healthy and productive workplace, it is extremely important to create a community at work. A modern view of the effective work environment highlights creation of the community at the workplace. Creation of the community invites deeper level of belongings for the members and helps improve the engagement, improve commitment, and productivity in the workplace. Let's look at the 5 key elements on how you can create a community at the workplace. Number 1, you should focus on developing the culture of inclusion. You also should understand and appreciate the diversity and try to engage different people with different viewpoints into your team. You should also strengthen team bonds, promote team building, and one of the good ways to do it is complete joint activities together. For example, you can eat lunch, socialize at work and or after work, and do other joint activities. What's important to understand is that diversity and inclusion is more than just a policy at the workplace. The population is rapidly changing, and people employed in the organization are changing with this. The population of people employed in organizations is changing, and people with different backgrounds enter the workforce. The key benefit of having diversity and inclusion is that equitable employees outpace their competitors by respecting unique needs and variety of perspectives of all team members. The benefits of diversity and inclusion can be summarized by higher productivity at work, increased employee engagement and trust, new perspectives and innovation, better decision-making inside and outside of the organization, and stronger business results and profits. Understanding all of these aspects help us understand the traits tested on this test. The essential traits are doing the right thing and taking action as a leader, understanding cultural differences, as well as sincere appreciation of the diversity. Let's analyze key choices and considerations when answering the question. You're presented with the choice to be a bystander and do nothing, but you also can do a right thing as a leader even though it might be uncomfortable. You can also try to maintain the status quo and just calm down Sunita by telling her that it is okay since it always was like that. You can also behave as a true leader and show true appreciation of diversity and inclusion benefits. You can take uncomfortable step and grow as a leader yourself, which would help attract and keep the pipeline of talented team members into the organization. So what are the red flags that this question helps to uncover? Number one is it helps uncover people that try to maintain status quo versus being a change agent. It also helps detect people that are uncomfortable in promoting the change. You can also detect people that are being afraid of conflict that is required for the change. And also you can eliminate people that have lack of understanding of diversity and inclusion principles. Let's look at considerations for the internal compass of the person answering the question. It is almost effortless to take the easy route and behave in politically correct way, but you can also take a lead and do the right thing. The true leader always goes with what heart is telling her and him and does the right thing. In addition, by mentioning to Sunita that she should get used to it because it is always the way it was, you will not be able to comfort her since she most likely will continue to be uncomfortable. Leaders often play a role of the change agent in the organization and are not afraid of the conflict that might be required for a change. Based on this analysis, I think the choices to avoid are choices A, B, and D. Choice A, do nothing. There is no issue, and even if there is, it should be resolved between Sunita and Kevin. Choice B, you should support Sunita and mention to her that it is totally normal since Kevin worked for a company for a long time and always shared his stories. And last but not least choice to avoid is choice D. You should escalate the issue with your manager. I know you might disagree, but I am of the opinion that there is nothing here in this situation that might require manager engagement. Based on this analysis, I think that the recommended answer here is choice C. The goal of every organization is to create a safe, positive, and caring work environment where team members feel comfortable, enjoy working together, and have opportunity to reach their full potential. Some issues can't be solved through organizational policies or escalations to the managers, but rather these issues require a help from true leaders who understand cultural differences, appreciate diversity, and are not afraid to speak up and share their opinion. Based on this, I think the recommended answer here is choice C. You should informally mention to Kevin about Sunita's reaction next time you meet with Kevin one-on-one. The assumption here is that Kevin will recognize the uncomfort he is causing to Sunita and will stop sharing the stories when Sunita is present. Do you have any other suggestions on how to answer this question? Please make sure to post them in comments. Here's the very interesting question to determine your personality. You just arrived at the corporate event. You do not see anyone you know there. What would you do? You need to select all that apply out of the 4 different choices. Choice A, observe others. Wait for people you know to arrive. Choice B, approach people you don't know and introduce yourself. Choice C, temporarily leave the event and come back later. Choice D, check your itinerary to ensure you're at the right place. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the right answer. So you can always pause this video to determine the answer that you would want to choose. Are you ready? I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to answer and have different recommendations, feel free to share in comments. I believe that in this question, you are being tested on whether you're a good team player. Work environments are very collaborative, and companies are looking to hire people that work well with others. There are no easy ways to determine if a candidate is a good team player. For example, recruiters do not screen for quality candidates, but mostly focus on technical skills and try to submit as many candidates as possible to increase their chances. More than 50% of resumes contain lies. Non-team players hype their resumes to look like A players. Questions on behavioral interview are not very revealing. References checks are generally worthless, This is why companies ask questions on the test that might help them to determine the right candidate. During the assessment tests, companies look for essential traits for the team players. They typically look if the candidate is social, if candidate adapts easily to difficult situations, if candidate tackles challenges with enthusiasm, and whether potential employee is a creative problem solver. They also look for the red flags, and typically red flags are that the candidate likes working solo, doesn't take initiative, and maintains a status quo. Obviously, with these types of questions, there is no right or wrong answer, but there is a least recommended answer which you can spot based on the red flags. Because red flags are that the candidate doesn't take initiative, afraid of unfamiliar situations, and passively maintains status quo, the choices to avoid might be choice A, observe others and wait for people you know to arrive, or choice C, temporarily leave the event and then come back later. Based on what we know, organizations are looking to hire people that are team players, that can introduce themselves and feel comfortable and confident in unfamiliar settings. One thing to keep in mind is that you always want to be honest and answer how you would behave. But you also need to understand that your behavior is unpredictable until you're actually in this particular situation. Are you sure you will never behave as the best version of yourself? Can you become intentional and be courageous even if you feel uncomfortable about the situation? Keep in mind that you can also change yourself and behave as a team player. Considering that team player traits are being social, being easily adaptable, and being creative problem solver, the most recommended answer here is choice B. Approach people you don't know and introduce yourself. Do you have a better version on how to answer this question? Please make sure to share in comments. A lot of times during the test, you might be presented with very uncomfortable situation to determine how you would behave. This is one of those test questions. You got promoted to the manager role that your colleague at work was also hoping for. Now things are awkward between you two. You want to keep the relationship going, but your colleague is not speaking to you outside of the required communications during the team meetings. You have 5 choices to select all that apply in order. Choice A. Apologize for the fact that you were promoted over your colleague. Choice B. Ask your colleague about her career aspirations. Choice C. Schedule a meeting to discuss your colleague's feelings. Choice D. Stay professional. Choice E. Prepare the 30-day action plan as a manager of the department. Take a close look, maybe pause this video, give yourself 10 to 15, maybe 20 seconds to see if you can come up with the answer. Are you ready? I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution, and obviously if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. I think this question is about demonstrating leadership at the higher level of job responsibilities. Let's take a close look. I think you cannot control other people's reactions to your promotion. Typically, the best candidate gets selected for the promotion if there is a competition within the department. Because of this, you should not feel bad that you were selected for the job, and instead of focusing on colleagues' feelings, you should focus on common goal of making department and the company move forward in the marketplace. I think your colleagues' reactions described in this question might be called stonewalling, which is one of the ways to demonstrate defensive behavior. Stonewalling means that the person shuts down when feelings are overwhelming during a conflict. Instead of looking inside and finding opportunities to get better and look forward at this experience as potential opportunity, especially when they can't do anything about the changed environment, and they find the blame in another person and mentally justify their behavior. Here are some recommended steps how you can respond as a leader in your department. You should not feel bad about what happened. You were selected for a promotion for a reason, and there is nothing to apologize for. Number 2, you should be empathetic, but do not try to please your colleague. Number 3, you should focus on the common goals for the department. You should build a plan to move forward, be a change agent, address all the issues that you've learned about when you were a peer with your colleague, and you should lead by example. Let's look at the key traits assessed in this question. I think the essential traits that are being assessed are empathy, leading by example, and genuinely try to help others. There are also some red flags that this question is trying to look for. For example, feeling guilty and focusing on feelings instead of work deliverables. Based on this, I think that the least recommended choices in order would be choices A and C. Choice A, apologizing for the fact that you were promoted over your friend, and choice C, schedule a meeting to discuss your colleague's feelings. I would say that the most recommended answers would be choices D, E, and B. I think staying strong and maintaining professional behavior is always a good strategy, which gains you respect from peers, management, and company's customers. Instead of focusing on feelings of another person, you should focus on common goals for the department to advance your organization, and do it by building an action plan. At the same time, you should genuinely try to help your colleague to advance and ask her about her career aspirations. So my recommended choices in order would be choice D, staying professional, choice E, prepare a 30-day action plan as a manager of the department, and last but not least, choice B, ask your colleague about her career aspirations. Do you have a better way to solve it? Please make sure to post your answers and rationale in comments. Here's the very interesting question we frequently see on the test. You recently overheard conversation between two people in marketing department about the potential change in the remote work policy, which would require everyone to start coming to the office daily. Currently, you are only required to come into the office 2 times per week. You are very concerned about this potential change since you are taking care of elderly parent living with you. What should you do next? And you need to select all that apply in order. Choice A, immediately schedule a meeting with your manager. Choice B, call HR and confront them about the potential change. Choice C, wait until the next day before taking any actions. Choice D, discuss the issue with your colleague who has connections with the leadership team. And last but not least, choice E, start researching alternative elderly care options. Do you know the answer? Take a close look, maybe pause this video so you can analyze the question and come up with the right choices. Hopefully you've made your selections, because I am moving forward on my end to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. Let me start with the key considerations, an analysis of the facts. Number 1, there has not been an official announcement of the change, and what person overheard from other people are just rumors and speculations of potential changes, and should be treated accordingly. I believe there are a few key considerations to help you select the right answer. Number 1 is that speculations and rumors of what might happen are very frequent in the workplace and have negative consequences for everyone. Speculations can create emotionally charged environment and strain trust between colleagues. Work quality is affected, as well as morale drops significantly. A lot of companies also have policies in place to prevent distribution of misinformation. I think the key to answer this question correctly is to demonstrate emotional control and evaluate what happened based on facts. Until official announcement was made, information you overheard may not be accurate. It is possible you overheard preparation for the official announcement, but also it is possible that you might have overheard someone else's speculations and rumors. As a leader in the workplace, you can assess the situation and behave based on facts, setting up an example. So how can you select the right answer for this question? As a leader, you always have an opportunity to evaluate the situation and calibrate your response. Basically, recognize and balance. First of all, you need to evaluate trustworthiness of the sources, and if they represent official information. You also need to be able to understand what are available facts. If necessary, you need to gather more information, but without creating anxiety in the workplace. You also always have an opportunity to review alternatives and understand the worst-case scenario. This question also evaluates you on self-controlling your emotions. Because the outcome of the potential change is very important to you, it is very easy to get emotional. But it is unclear if the change is going to take place, since there was no official announcement yet, and it is possible you just overheard rumors and speculations. The best way to approach this situation might be to practice self-control and plan your response instead of reacting emotionally. Considering all this, let's look at how to develop a better self-control, because it is very important in answering this question. To better control your emotion, you need to pause to understand what just happened. Some experts recommend pause for 24 hours or longer. It is also important to focus on the things that you can control. In case potential change is implemented, how bad is it going to be? A lot of times, the worst case scenario is not catastrophic. And then the last but not least technique, the one which I like the most, is focusing on the positive aspects of the change. Are there anything positive that might happen after the change is implemented? Can you focus on that? I believe that essential traits tested in this question are emotional self-control, stress management, optimism, and maintaining positive attitude, as well as ability to adapt to changing environments and leading others by personal example. Let's look at each one of these traits in more details. Self-control is the ability to navigate through difficult situations without losing the focus. Your ability to maintain anxiety allows you to manage your stress and control impulses and monitor and self-assess your emotions. Positivity in the workplace is contagious, and optimistic leaders are able to pursue goals even when they're faced with a lot of obstacles. Change is an essential part of the workplace, and leaders that are able to adapt to the change quickly and remain flexible in the changing environment make better decisions and more valuable to the organizations. I also believe that based on your responses, this question can uncover some red flags in your thought process. Those red flags might be impulsiveness in responses, inability to differentiate facts from rumors and speculations, and creating a drama in the workplace. Some leaders think that time is of the essence, and they believe that they need to move quickly to respond, instead of evaluating the facts and gathering more information. Impulsive behavior typically limits analysis of the information before acting and makes people act without thinking about the consequences. Most of the time, people that demonstrate impulsive behavior, as well as people that do not know how to handle emotionally charged situations, create drama in the workplace. Based on this, I believe choices A, B, D, and E are the choices to avoid. Choice A: immediately schedule a meeting with your manager. You do not have enough information to schedule a meeting with the manager since there are no facts to discuss. Choice B: call HR to confront them about the potential change. Very similar situation, you might be creating a drama without evaluating the facts. Choice D: discuss the issue with your colleague who has connections with leadership team. Colleague may not know anything about this, and approaching the colleague with this information will just spread the rumors. And last but not least, choice E: start researching alternative elderly care option. Even though this is always a good thing to do to have a backup plan, at this point it's not justified to spend time doing this activity. Companies are looking for leaders with strong emotional self-control that can deal with challenges, maintain focus, and navigate challenging situations. Postponing actions and response until factual information is available is the best choice in a lot of situations. By practicing self-control, you can also create a precedent in the workplace and set a good example for your colleagues. So based on this information, my recommended answer is choice C: wait until the next day before taking any actions. Do you have a different thought process or different choices that you would recommend? Please make sure to post your answers and suggestions in comments. Here's the very interesting question you might frequently see in the recent tests. During virtual meeting, one of the participants is actively consuming lunch, which creates a lot of frustration for you since you can't concentrate. As a team lead, you scheduled the discussion during the lunch hour since this was the only time available, as you need to finalize a design solution for your project. What would you do next? And you have 5 different choices, and you need to select all that apply in order. Choice A: end the meeting as quickly as you can with the reason that you can't concentrate. Choice B: immediately after the meeting, contact the participant who was actively eating and discuss the inappropriate behavior. Choice C: thank everyone for joining the meeting during lunch hour. Choice D: make a humorous comment at yourself for not being able to concentrate. And last but not least, choice E, meditate after the meeting to calm down and practice meditation on how to concentrate better. Not an easy question, would you agree? Give yourself a little bit of time to see if you can come up with the solution. And on my end, I'm going to move forward and share with you my version. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. When sharing with you my answer, I need to acknowledge that everyone is different, and your choices for this particular question might be different as well. What's interesting is that this question doesn't have a single obvious answer and is designed to test your particular personality. Multiple complex aspects of personality and leadership are tested in this question. There is no obvious answer, but solution to this challenge might be guided based on a few considerations. As you're probably well aware, virtual team meetings became a reality of corporate work after COVID-19. And even though remote work provides more flexibility to people, for example, it eliminates the commute, some aspects of remote work make it more stressful. For example, reaching alignment on an issue, or resolving a critical problem, or meeting a deadline. Due to the isolation, it is also much easier to experience high level of anxiety, irritability, and reach burnout during the remote work. Companies recognize this trend and train their leaders to respond to remote work challenges. They also test job candidates to make sure they possess necessary traits. To successfully answer this question, I recommend practicing servant leadership and try to understand and appreciate other team members when answering this question. I believe that the key themes tested in this question are sympathy, appreciation, and self-control. Obviously, there are multiple different ways to look at this issue, but in general, candidates for the leadership positions are regularly tested on the sympathy and appreciation skills needed for the position. Conflict in this question is created since team lead scheduled a meeting during the lunch hour. All participants choose to spend lunchtime with the team lead to help him or her to solve the problem and meet the deadline. Team lead in this question has multiple ways to demonstrate appreciation to other team members. For example, team lead can change the mental message about what's happening. Another thing, unless others complaining, team lead can control reactions and emotions. In addition, in the described scene, since meeting is scheduled during the lunch hour, it is expected that the people will consume lunch during this time. And also, leaders are expected to demonstrate sincere appreciation of people joining the meeting during lunch hour to help meet the deadline. People in leadership position can demonstrate better leadership and lead by example. Some behaviors, though, might be considered non-professional. For example, abruptly ending the meeting for no reason or non-justified reason. Another thing, creating a drama and contacting an employee to discuss perceived inappropriate behavior. Team lead may not know what else is going on in this person's life, and giving somebody a benefit of the doubt might be a good guide for the next step. Some things for seasonal leader to consider might be what else is going on in this person's life. Maybe team member doesn't have any other reasonable options to eat lunch due to the schedule conflicts. Or maybe a person is stressed out or burned out, and contacting the person would be the last straw to start a fire. Just because of the positional power team lead can do something doesn't mean that he or she should do it. Key traits that are tested in this question are sympathy, appreciation, self-control, humility, and benefit of the doubt. In remote work environment, it is especially easy to make a mistake, misjudge someone, lose temper, and misunderstand the situation. Also, depending on your own internal level of stress, it might be hard to practice self-control. Also, using your positional power as a team lead to dictate your, in quotes, unreasonable way of doing things may lead to team's disengagement. In remote work environment, it is especially hard to know what else is going on in team members' life, and it is very easy to misjudge and make a mistake. I believe that the red flags this question is looking for is lack of appreciation for team members, mismanagement of anger and frustration, and unreasonable and unjustified use of positional power. And here's why these traits are red flags. Leaders who acknowledge and appreciate their team members will have a happier and more motivated workforce. It's important for people leader to be able to balance their emotions and practice self-control. Sometimes using positional power is justified. But it is unwise for a leader to create a conflict and lose control based on the fact that someone is consuming lunch during the lunch hour scheduled meeting. In addition, also making a humorous comment about yourself and acknowledging an individual personal issue can a lot of times discharge tense situation. Based on all of this information, the least recommended answers might be choices A and B. Choice A, ending the meeting as quickly as you can with the reason that you can't concentrate, may not be a good choice. And choice B, immediately after the meeting, contacting the participant who was actively eating and discuss the inappropriate behavior, may be unreasonable and unjustified use of positional power. Considering sympathy, appreciation, self-control, humility, and benefit of the doubt being essential traits for a good leader, I would recommend choices C, D, and E being the most recommended answers. The goal of a leader is to demonstrate servant leadership, appreciate everyone joining the meeting, and focus on the end goal for the discussion, which is finalized design for the solution. Based on this, my recommended answers are in order. Choice C, thank everyone for joining the meeting during lunch hour. Choice D, make a humorous comment at yourself for not being able to concentrate. And last but not least, choice E, continue improving yourself and meditate after the meeting to calm down and practice meditation on how to concentrate better. Do you have any other suggestions? Please make sure to post them in comments. Here's a very interesting question, variation of which we frequently see on the test. You clicked on the link in the phishing simulation email. Fortunately for you, it was just a test. During lunch, though, your colleagues are discussing and sharing how they all recognize the phishing email. What would you do? And you're presented with multiple choices that you need to select in order. Choice A, listen to the rationale and observe behavior of your colleagues. Choice B, stay strong. It is an informal lunch and you're not required to share anything. Choice C, share the details of what happened with you and ask for an advice. And last but not least, choice D, make a joke about your own mistake. Not an easy question, don't you think? Maybe pause this video to see if you need more time to reread the question and come up with the best possible answers. And on my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better ideas and better way to solve it, please make sure to post your answer and rationale in comments. I might be wrong, but I believe this question validates how candidate can learn from mistakes by valuing humility and open communication. This question tests on how much you value open communication and how much you value showing humility to share your own weaknesses and mistakes, potentially gaining respect and improving your relationships with others. I think open communication, even when sharing uncomfortable personal experiences and issues, helps to show you as a human, gain better connection with others, and ultimately learn from mistakes more effectively. Here's how this all might be applicable to this particular scenario. During phishing simulations, companies send the realistic phishing email to employees to determine their awareness of cyber attacks. Everyone makes mistakes. The key is to recognize it and learn from the experience to do better next time. You might wonder, why should you value humility and open communication? Let me give you 3 main reasons. First of all, we learn from failures much more than we learn from successes. And from my standpoint, failure is an opportunity to grow and build mental memory, to recognize the mistakes, to change your behavior in the future, and to come back as a stronger and better person. And last but not least is sharing your mistakes with others creates an environment of humility where other people feel safe and comfortable sharing their personal stories, which on its own end helps build strong, well-connected, and high-performing teams. Based on this information, I believe that there are 4 key essential traits that are assessed in this question: humility, authenticity, desire to learn, and open communication. There are also some red flags that this particular question can help pinpoint, and those red flags are selective communication, defensiveness, lack of faith in others, as well as lack of initiative and lack of confidence. Based on this, the least recommended answers are choices A and B. Choice A, listen to the rationale and observe behavior of colleagues, is not going to help you grow, is not going to help you become a better person, even though you might hide your mistake. And choice B, stay strong, it is an informal lunch and you're not required to share anything, is complete misconception of what strong means. You will be viewed as a much stronger person if you find courage and strength to share your mistakes and present yourself as a human being. I would recommend answering this question with the choices D and C. Humility, which represents a willingness to admit the weakness and ask for help, makes a person a more effective leader. Everyone makes mistakes, but if you prioritize open communication, you can demonstrate that you are a human being and you can learn from your own mistakes. Making a joke about your own weakness is almost always safe and helps to create a safe environment for other people to share. So I would recommend you select choice D, make a joke about your own mistake, and choice C, share the details of what happened with you and ask for advice as an answer to this question. Do you have a better solution? Please make sure to share your answer and rationale in comments. Let's look at the tricky question which does not have the obvious answer. You received a rude email which uses non-professional language from your coworker. What should you do? You're presented with multiple choices and you need to select all that apply in order. Choice A, wait for 24 hours before responding. Choice B, reply back with similar tone to show strength. Choice C, read email carefully to ensure you understand the meaning of each sentence. Choice D, delete the email to eliminate trace and avoid conflict. And last but not least, choice E, forward email to HR and copy your manager. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. Did you figure it out? I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution, and obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. I believe this question tests your ability to control your emotions. When you're receiving unprofessional email, your anger buttons might be triggered, and you will get into emotionally elevated state. It is important to maintain professional posture, which would allow you to gain self-respect, as well as respect from colleagues, leadership team, and even the sender of the email. Once email is sent, it's impossible to unsend it, and this is the lesson you need to learn for yourself. Because of that, it is typically a good idea to wait before you respond, and use this time to learn more about the original message, try to understand sender's intentions, and also try to calm down yourself. Here are some steps on how you can respond to unprofessionally written email. You give another person benefit of the doubt. Reread the original message, analyze it to make sure there is no misunderstanding. Step number 2. Try to calm down by doing other activities and ideally waiting overnight. This way your emotions will no longer be elevated when you're sending the response. As a step 3, you can try to write multiple versions of the response without sending. Compare them and select the best response. And last but not least, in step 4, you need to try to stick to professional tone and language in your answer. Here are some of the essential traits assessed in this question. You can pinpoint self-control, patience, thoughtfulness, and giving others benefit of the doubt. Some of the red flags this question can also pinpoint is impulsiveness, which means acting without thinking, as well as using of unprofessional language. Based on this, the least recommended answers in order are choices B, D, and E. Choice B would be replying back with similar tone to show strength. In choice D, you would delete the email to eliminate the trace and avoid conflict. And last but not least, choice E, forwarding email to HR and copying your manager. Based on this, the recommended answers in order would be choices C and A. Responding to rude email in professional way helps you practice patience, enhance your customer service skills, and try to gain self-respect as well as respect from others. It is also an opportunity for you to better understand others and grow as a person. Taking accountability and responding yourself to the message also helps you deal with the issues directly and avoid unnecessarily escalations to HR and to your manager. So my recommended answers here are choice C, read email carefully to ensure you understand the meaning of each sentence, and choice A, wait for 24 hours before responding, would be my most recommended answers. Do you have a better way to solve this challenge? Please make sure to post your answers and rationale in comments. Here's an amazing question to test your skills interacting with others. Your colleague asks you to help respond with the customer inquiry, and indicated that this is an urgent and time-sensitive issue. You're currently working on a project with the tight deadline, and remember that when you asked colleague to help you with the project tasks earlier, you didn't receive any help. What should you do? And you're presented with 5 choices from which you need to select all that apply in order. Choice A, learn to say no. Explain that because you're working on a tight deadline project, you don't want to waste any time. Choice B, try to help as much as you can. Choice C, have a conversation with your colleague after your project is completed. Choice D, try to be respectful and understand another person's point of view. And last but not least is choice E, escalate the issue to your manager. Take a close look to see what would you choose on the real test as an answers for yourself. And on my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post your answer and rationale in comments. I believe that this question is about creating a positive environment at work. And this is more than anything an opportunity question. And the main reason is because there is no workplace rule which regulates this situation. So there is no single right or wrong answer, and you act voluntarily in this situation. But if you're intentional about creating positive work environment, there is no better way to do it than by building a good relationship with your colleagues. Here's the thought process. You spend a large time of your workday with your colleagues at work, and having great relationship in the workplace helps create a lot of positive energy and goodwill. One of the best ways to create friendships and goodwill at work is by helping others to solve their problems, sometimes without expecting anything in return. I would recommend 5 ways to create positive work environment. Number 1, lead by example and sincerely try to help others at work. Number 2, be willing to do things that fall outside of your job description. Number 3, provide energy to colleagues around you by encouraging and supporting them. Number 4, assume positive intentions and trust your colleagues. And last but not least, number 5, take pride in the company vision and do what is best for the company and clients. Let's see how those principles can be used to answer this question. Let's first look at essential traits. The key essential traits tested in this question are taking initiative, team orientation, developing your colleagues, as well as leading by examples. There are also 4 red flags that can be pointed based on your answers. They are defensiveness, lack of goodwill, unnecessary escalation, and creating a drama in the workplace. Based on this, the least recommended answers in order would be choices A and E. Choice A, learn to say no. Explain that because you're working on a tight deadline project, you cannot waste any time. If you think of helping others as wasting your time, you will not get any positive emotions in their mind, and you will not get any brownie points from them. Choice E, escalating the issue with your manager, will show that instead of building relationships at work, you're more interested in creating drama in the workplace. Based on this, I recommend choices B, C, and D. You always have an opportunity to show goodwill and take a first step to build a good relationship. And there's no better way to build friendships and create positive work environment than by leading by example and helping others to solve their problems, sometimes doing it without expecting anything in return. At the same time, you don't want to be burned out, and it is always helpful to have a conversation few days after completing the tasks to learn more about your colleagues' work style and to better understand their position. Based on this, my recommended answers are in order. Choice B, try to help as much as you can. Choice C, have a conversation with your colleague after your project is completed. And last but not least, choice D, try to be helpful and understand other person's point of view. Do you have a better way to solve it? Please make sure to post your answer and rationale in comments. Here's an interesting question you frequently see on the test. Manager called you into her office and shared with you the complaint she received about you browsing non-business related sites in the workplace. You did use company's equipment to download some materials from the internet recently. What will you do next? And you need to select all that apply in order. Choice A, I would ask manager to provide evidence and learn more about who filed the complaint. Choice B, I will explain what I did and what I was looking for. Choice C, I would apologize. Choice D, I would take responsibility for my actions. Take a close look, maybe pause this video for 10 to 15 seconds to see if you can come up with the solution. Ready or not, I am moving forward to share with you my version, and obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. What's interesting about this question is that this particular one doesn't have a single obvious answer. There are multiple complex aspects that are tested in this question. And even though there is no obvious answer to this challenge, the solution might be guided based on the listed considerations. Let's look at each one of them. The first one is that organizations monitor computer use and corporate network activities. Companies have full legal right to monitor email as well as the sites employees go to. Companies discourage personal use of the computers by employees for many different reasons. And there are special policies on accessing inappropriate content using companies' equipment. The tricky part of this question is that this particular one tests candidates' knowledge and understanding of these policies, and more importantly, how candidate would behave under the circumstances. Let's look at the personal use of the business equipment first. Companies typically provide computers for use to their employees, but there are a lot of challenges with personal use of the business equipment. There are also consequences for using it to conduct inappropriate business activities. So, what are the typical personal uses of companies' computers? We can list 5 main categories: make online purchases, send personal email, playing games on company's computer, downloading non-work related materials, and downloading and installing non-work related software. There are typically special policies for inappropriate content on business computers. Inappropriate or unauthorized content can be grouped into 5 main categories. Number 1, content promoting hate based on race, religion, disability, sexual preference, and etc. Content promoting violent extremism, sexually explicit content, real or simulated violence, as well as, last but not least, pirated software, which is the software you don't have legal license for. This question is very challenging because there is no one certain answer, but there are some important considerations if you look at the question definition. Number 1, there is certainly a possibility for mistake and misunderstanding here, but if manager called employee for a discussion, there was probably enough evidence of wrongdoing that has been collected. Number 2, since organizations own the equipment and network access, company has full legal right to monitor the employee. Understanding policies before accessing content should guide employee decisions. And last but not least is that inappropriate access can be detected by computer monitoring tools as well as reported by coworker. I believe in this particular question, candidate is tested on 4 essential traits: honesty, trustworthiness, professional behavior, and in compliance with company policies. This question only implies that employee downloaded content and doesn't indicate if the content was appropriate or not. It only shows non-business related sites in the workplace, which does not necessarily indicate an inappropriate content. Another important consideration is that there is always a possibility for a mistake and misunderstanding, like with everything in life. Role of an employee here is to provide facts and support the investigation. And the best strategy is to know the policies before using company's equipment and to follow those policies. Based on the listed answers, there are certain red flags that employee is tested for. Number 1, employee becoming defensive. Number 2, attempts to hide what happened. And number 3, attempts for revenge with someone who reported the employee. Based on these red flags, I think the least recommended answer is choice A. I would ask manager to provide evidence and learn more about who filed the complaint. And here is my recommendation for the most recommended answer. I believe that the goal here in this question to demonstrate leadership and take responsibility for your actions. And this is true not just in question, but in life as well. If you did something unknowingly, not knowing if it is prohibited by the policy, it is always a good idea to apologize. So my recommended answers in order are choice D, I would take responsibility for my actions. Choice B, explained what I did and what I was looking for. And then last but not least, choice C, I would apologize. Do you have a better solution for this question? Please make sure to post your answers as well as thought process in comments. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you for helping us to become one of the largest YouTube channels to help people become smarter, increase your IQ, and to pass any test. If the content of this video was helpful, please make sure to click the like button to help YouTube algorithm promote this video and help other people to find it faster. Giving us a like is also a way for you to tell us that you need more content like this, and when you tell us, we will deliver it for you in the future. For links to free and premium resources, please check the description and comments of this video. You can also go directly to our website, howtoanalyzedata.net, to download the materials related to this topic. I really appreciate your endorsement, support, and patronage of this channel. And thank you for considering to become a member and considering to subscribe. Please leave feedback, suggestions, or corrections in comments. And all the best on your journey. I'll see you in my next video.